Going to the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers got a couple sexy picks in this draft. First round, they go out there and get maybe the best receiver in the draft with DJ Moore. I know that Steve Smith was a huge fan of this pick. He compared DJ Moore to himself, actually. So I think that this is a great pick for the Panthers. Some people may say that the Panthers have bigger needs than receiver, but they really need playmakers for Cam Newton. We saw in the playoffs, if Cam Newton had a receiver, just one, they might have beat the Saints. And the Saints were a really good team last year. So DJ Moore, a receiver that's probably better with the ball than he is without the ball. But I think he can develop into a really, really good player. He's a guy that the Panthers don't really have in regards to, other than Christian McCaffrey at running back, that can kind of get the ball in a short area on the field and kind of take it for extra yardage to move the chains. So he adds to that depth chart already of some pretty explosive athletes now. They did add Torrey Smith in free agency. He'll be a depth guy, but they have Samuel as well as Devin Funchess, who had a breakout season last year. And really, Devin Funchess was relied on way too much. They still have Greg Olsen, probably his last year there. They did draft Ian Thomas as hopefully, at least a tight end too in Norv Turner's offense. This is going to be Norv Turner's offense. Norv Turner definitely knows how to use tight ends. So Greg Olsen going to have a good season. Ian Thomas, we'll see what he can do from the fourth round. But I like Dante Jackson as well, corner from LSU. Ton of speed, athleticism, going to be the slot corner for them. Has really good man-to-man skills and really the ability to jump on balls and just take them to the house. So I think they addressed two of their bigger needs, a playmaker at receiver and a playmaker in the back end of their secondary. They also got another corner in the third round as well. Don't know as much about him, but apparently he might switch to safety, that's the one position I wish they may have addressed, which was the safety position. There's still some guys in free agency they could go out and sign, though. I mean, there's Eric Reed, there's Trey Boston, who they're familiar with, and there's Kenny Vaccaro, who they could go out and sign still. But in the draft, a corner/safety, receiver, tight end in the early rounds. They got a couple depth linebackers there. Thomas Davis isn't going to play forever. Plus, he's suspended. Marquise Haynes was a little bit of a steal there in the fourth round. And besides that, I mean, the other position they could have gone for was offensive guard, which they did miss out on. Obviously, they lost Andrew Norwell. But I don't know, like where they were in the draft, they picked the receiver. Then there was this run on guards and interior offensive linemen. And when they got back on the clock in the second round, they weren't really able to address that. So, and I still feel like corner was maybe a bigger need because they still have some really good offensive linemen. They have Turner, and they have as well Williams at right tackle. So they have some pretty good guys, but we'll see what happens with their interior line this year. It might be a weakness for their offense. AC, what'd you think with this draft from the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, to me, it was kind of underwhelming, but it was still, I'll grade it an A- because I think they did enough what they needed to do going in. The players of because they didn't really move around. It's not like they had like two picks within the first 30 or 40. You know what I mean? Like they kind of were solid in where they picked. DJ Moore, I think you had to get a receiver. Torrey Smith is not a guy you want to be relying on. Devin Funchess the same way, but Devin Funchess, I think, with another great receiver, I think DJ Moore can be.
I think Devin Funchess can be a quality number two.
For sure.
Off his last
I just don't want DJ Moore to turn like it not to work out because I think as we were seeing, the Curtis Samuel pick was a waste of a pick last year. I think they got him in the second round.
Yeah, they got him in the second round, and he's still sort of a project. We'll see because he got injured last year, so he didn't really get a chance to prove himself. But we'll see what happens this year.
But yeah, so DJ Moore, and then they needed defensive backs. I think Dante Jackson is a great pick, and I think he's going to be able to play some big minutes and some big downs for them next year. Because I just don't think James Bradbury's not very good. Kevon Seymour was he in from Buffalo this year, or was he there last year as well?
Was he not on the Eagles at one point? I think he was on Buffalo, I think.
Yeah. He's their starting guy. They just have no depth. And
Well, the whole situation with the
Cartwright.
Panthers is they were signing. They signed Breland, and remember he failed the physical, so that was a huge need for them in this draft.
Yeah, and then they got Cockrell too. So Dante Jackson's going to play. And then I just reading on Rashawn Golden, he seems to be able to do whatever they need him to do. Like he played nickel, corner, or safety. So we'll see what happens there. The one thing that I just wish they did was their defensive line needs some work. Like obviously, okay, not defensive tackle, but like how much longer can Julius Pepper play at a high level?
Forever.
He's great. And then like Mario Addison's 30. And then after that, you don't have much depth.
Yeah.
Like, you literally have zero depth at defensive end. Wes Horton, Brian G.
This is why I'm like looking back on last year, I'm like shocked that this team made the playoffs. But it was just Cam Newton.
Yeah. Because they could have used, but I'll give them an A- because I think getting the stud wide receiver, first wide receiver taken in the draft, and then going back to back defensive backs is which I think ever since what's his name left
Norman,
it's been tough. So James Bradbury I think could be a decent number 2, but he can't be covering your number 1 receiver in and out in like game in game out. So I think there's some potential there. So we'll see. I actually think looking, we'll get into the rest of the teams. I actually thought this division had one of the best like drafts as a whole. Out of some of them.
All right. So for Carolina Panthers, a B+ from AC, or A minus.
Yeah, A minus. Yeah,
A minus from AC, a B+ from me. So good draft for Carolina. We'll see if some of those players end up increasing some value on defense and on offense, playmaker wise.